Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new around here. My name is Ashley and I go by the Ashleyness around here. I am playing Planet Zoo today and we are playing Esme Zoo and this is episode number 7. In our previous episode we added in lemurs and a little critter walkthrough. In this episode we're going to be adding in a restaurant and some new monkeys. And I hope you stick around to the end because this one's a really good build. So I'm going to start with the restaurant, which is going to be right next to the monkey one that we're going to do. Now I can't say their name for anything, but it's the Siamang. I don't know how to say their name. But it's the ones that swing around. They're kind of black in color and they make a lot of noise. And so anyways, I'm going to put the name up here now. Anyways, so here we are working on the build already. We are working really hard to get the structure up and running. I did decide to do the pathway. There's the tippy tap of my dog's toes. I did do the pathway first in bamboo because I did feel like it needed to be just interesting on its own without doing the null path and doing a stonework to it. And I felt like doing the ramp was going to be really tricky, and so I decided against doing the ramp in stonework. So I am doing a lot of brick. I have been doing a lot of red brick around the buildings in my builds. I do feel like it really works well for the structures. And so I really appreciate how they all look together. So I've been doing the red brick, the painted white brick, and then I've been doing the green bamboo. Anyway, we're speeding around here. We're at 5 times the speed of my build in real life, just so you're not watching this for hours. I know you guys love my builds, but it can take a while. So here I'm just adding a little more detailing. And honestly, this restaurant goes by so fast. It's kind of crazy how fast it goes. We are nearly done actually at this moment. So we're already rolling through and we're putting in the bamboo around the edging. And then I noticed I hadn't flipped that properly, and so I had to fix that. And then we're just running along. And I'm watching this at the same time as you guys so I can remember what I did, because I did record this previously and it's just, you know. So if you see me looking up at the corner, that's what's happening, because I am trying to find out what happened or remember, because yeah, you know, I did a lot. Anyway, here I'm making ramps. I like the idea of making it a ramp versus a stair. 1, because ramps are much easier, and 2, because I found that I like the idea of being handy capable, where the people that have varying disabilities or abilities should be able to access all parts of the zoo. I am working really hard on making that a success. It is a little tricky, especially when you get to elevated things, because it is kind of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get these people up here? I am going to probably struggle with that as we go. Anyway, working on the ramps as we go here, just trying to level it all out and make it not too clunkety. I did have a little trouble here with this gap, as you can see, but I did settle on it. And then I added in some railing because, of course, we don't need anybody flying off the edge and falling onto the cement. And the tippity tap is back of my dog. Let's see. Here. Come here, Bella. Come here. This is Bella. This is my good girl. She's always tippity tapping through. So if you're ever curious, that's who we're listening to mostly. The one who barks, his name is Peaches, and she is very fluffy. If we can catch her, I will. And then I have a puppy named Maple, who is very little and likes to snuggle on my lap while I talk and while I game. She's not as loud. Actually, I think I hear her now. Let's see. Nope, that's Peaches. Anyway, back at the build, we're adding in the tables, and then we have adding lights in. I've been really working hard on remembering to do lights in my builds and in my zoo, because sometimes I forget, and then it's just, It's so silly. And then it's like you know, then when it's dark, you can't see anything. Here I'm doing that white brick. It's kind of like a gray brick versus like a white brick. But I'm adding in the door, making sure it's not too pooched out. And then the roof, which I've been using this gray like asphalt roof, flat roof usually, and it seems to really pair well with what we're doing. And then the glass for the windows so the guest and the staff can see out. I like this glass around the edges because then I felt that it was going to help keep the guests again safe. But I also backed them together. If you haven't noticed, I spun and I did them together so that we could have a thicker glass. And because it's got that weird edge like on the inside if you don't. So anyway, I'm jabbering on. So we're adding some more tables down here because I kind of forgot, to be honest. And then we're just spinning around, adding in the lights again. And then just kind of double checking everything. And then, of course, my favorite, we have to do landscaping. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I absolutely love doing landscaping, especially in this game. I love doing it in my Sims as well. But I do enjoy doing it in this game particularly because you can just like make just these spaces look just so amazing all of a sudden. So I didn't want to go too crazy between the two habitats because then it's like, well, you know, what if I have habitats between the two habitats, between the restaurant habitat and the monkey habitat? I wanted to make sure I had space that made sense between the two. And yeah, we're just using the periwinkle and the grasses and just continuing on. Continuing with these potted plants along the way to continue with the cohesiveness throughout the zoo. We're just continuing on. And I like the idea of adding this little cart in here too, so it looked like they can maybe shop for fresh fruit as well. Add some watermelon, some pineapple, and so on. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this restaurant. And then right next door is our favorite monkeys that I cannot say their name of. It's right there on the screen. And we're just gonna go ahead and jump straight in here too. Now for this one, I do have some inspiration from online, which I'm gonna show you right now. As you can see, it has this lovely river aspect to it with multiple levels. And it's got this like tree structure and it's got this like palm like thing going on with the roofs. And I already have this river on the other side, as you can kind of maybe see. And I really wanted to make it look like it was extending through the enclosure from that river start. So here I'm trying desperately to make the levels work. It was very tricky to do. As you can see, I was like having a really hard time. It was either going up and over or it was too low. And then I wanted this to be less prominent. And so I was trying to lower it down and I couldn't do it. But no, I did work out in the end and it looks just beautiful. So just stick around. It's almost done. For this river, and you can see how I kind of covered up and made these layers. So one of my favorite things to use is a lot of rocks, but also like fallen trees in areas like this because it also makes it look well done. I also enjoy doing it with the my dog's scratching at the door using the waterfalls. So there you can see how it looks when it's running. And of course I wish I could lower these down more, but I can't. So here we're going to come in with the rocks and it's just going to really blend in with the other river. And yes, I do use a lot. You're going to see it really helps it look just chef's kiss. So here I'm going to get in these fallen trees to make them tilted, and then they're gonna look like they've fallen across the river. And I do like using multiples because it does look better. And then here I'm bringing in the larger stones, the boulders, if you will, to really just edge out the edges of the river to make it look more cohesive and more realistic. Because it just doesn't make sense to just have dirt on the edges of a deep river like this. At least in my opinion. Here we're just extending through with those little rocks. We're bringing the trees over here as well. This one was easier to cover because it wasn't as rounded for the fencing, so it was easier to make it look better. Just bringing that waterfall over here as well, just continuing through. Adding in our beautiful little rocks. More giant boulders on the edges. Quick save, always want to save. Just doing a lot of rock work. You know, I am so grateful that the rocks don't, not that, okay, well, I'm going to finish my sentence so it makes sense. I am very grateful that the rocks do not hinder the foliage needs of the animals. However, I also don't play where in a way that it matters what the foliage need is for my animals because I'm in sandbox mode. I have it as a ticked off so that I don't have to worry about it, so I can make such lush areas. So here I'm making my glass walls. So this one actually, what I was doing was I was making it where it was fully formed walls. And I was trying to do the method of the spin with the mud pillar. However, I did find that this does not work. But I felt it was important to show you the process of failure as well as success. Because, you know, I think it's important to know that it is okay to fail in this game too when you're building things. And like you just can be so sure. Like I was so sure I knew what I was doing. And then it was like, it just didn't pan out. And see here, I'm spreading them through. And then what happened was that as I was spinning it, and if you look very closely, you can see that it's not matching up, you see? And that's just not okay for my brain. My brain hates that. It's just like, nope. And so I just went ahead and did it by hand. It takes a little longer. Of course, here in this video, it's not going to take very long at all. But in the game, it did take a lot longer to do it piece by piece by piece instead of the spinning method. But it does eventually finish out, and it does look really nice. And it just, you know, you got to go slow. You got to make sure you're taking your corners properly. And luckily we have our grouping thing where we can just, you know, select and group. And I don't know why he did that. It like flipped it on me when I was trying to move it. And that was really frustrating. But I got it to work and, you know, got the other side made. And then I went ahead and made, and I found that weird little step stool was out of the way there, or the step, the path there that I created was off by one tile, so it was weird. And then here I'm just going through and I'm adding in the bamboo to make it look nicer, in my opinion. I felt like these, like, what things were going to be there no matter what. And I have a weird gap here, and I just kind of like, you know, it took so long to get it done, and I didn't have it in me to fix it. And it looks fine. Raising it up nice and tall. And I kind of played with the idea of like tiering it, like kind of like I was going to do like a balcony on the top with like a lot of foliage. But then you know, it felt messy and hard. And I was kind of like done. I didn't really feel like it. And, you know, and I think it turns out really great in the end. But, you know, these are the processes that we think about when we're doing this build sometimes. It's like, oh my goodness, do I really want to fight with this right now? And for me, no, I did not want to fight with it. I didn't want to have to do a weird roof. I didn't want to have to like fight with the glass again. I didn't want to make it look the way I could see it in my head, but there was no way I could make it at this time. Now that being said, I'm going to try and do it another time so that it does happen. It's just not for this build. Anyway, back to the build. So what we're doing is we're just going ahead and we're doing the painted brick on the tile on the top of the bamboo. Lost my words there for a second. So that we could have more cohesiveness. I like that word if you haven't noticed. And then here we're just doing some deco on the edges, on the walls, carrying this vine all the way through. And then I decided to do this for the doors instead. I was gonna make it kind of just like an actual door looking thing, like a hole, but then I was like, I just love these flapping doors. These, like, I don't remember what they're called, but it's like really neat that they can flap when the animals and the keepers and stuff go through it. So it feels more realistic. It feels like it gives the animals that freedom to come and go as they please without like restricting them, you know, like, because if it was like a hard, like a sliding door or something like that, like, or in appearance, right, then it would be really clear that they couldn't go out as pleased all the time. And so I feel like with these flapping doors, those doors, I can't remember the name for anything, you can get this idea that they can come and go as they please. Anyway, just doing the outside wall here and making sure that I have my toppers, remembering the heights of all my people that come through, and that was off a little bit because that was a different group right there. And then just fixing that, and then I'm gonna add some glass in so that they have their viewing ports. And then yeah, we're almost done. Believe it or not, this is almost over. I know we've been talking forever. I do appreciate you being here and still watching though. Let's see. Yeah, we're just, and then I wanted the door for the enclosure to actually be right there, but it was like one of those, like, I couldn't fit like the actual like doorway that I usually do in there, and so I end up making my own later on down the line. So here we're just adding in the glass. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it does the job. And those parts that are too tall, like that are they're actually inside the stone, and so you can't see them. As you can see when I click away from it, you can't tell they're there, which I really like. Just fixing that little bit of terrain right there. Look how pretty this is. So I knew I wanted to do a palm roof here, but I wasn't really quite sure how to do it at first. I've been trying to do the spinning thing, like technique with the roofs and the walls and things, and they haven't been working well for me. And so I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong, but it's just not working. So if you guys have any tips and tricks on that, I would very much love to hear them. But I do get it to work for this instance. I do figure it out, and I start to do it here, and then I realize that's not going to work out because then it's really hard to delete them because I know how to do it. I don't know if I'm using, like, trying to use the wrong pieces or what's happening, but it's not working out well for me. So I do it here, and then it works great, but then I realized that I should have gone up all the way so that it would be done. Because I was like, wait, what am I going to do now? I got a big hole in the middle here. So then I take it back to the field to work in it, and then I fix it, as you can see. And I think it looks really cool in the end. I'm really happy with how it turns out, especially the way it kind of spins and spirals in the center there. It really looks neat, in my opinion. So I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog is scratching like crazy at my door. Anyway, and then you just come in here and you just delete those pillars. And then I just grab it, and it takes me a couple tries to get it where I want it, because I think I got it, and then it's like crooked just a little bit, and so then I take it back, and then I go back, and yeah, it takes a couple tries, but I get it to work. And then the glass was a little too high right there, but it was easy to fix. So then the other little eyesore here was that it's overhanging quite a bit over this edge, but of course I didn't want to like change it because I actually really enjoy this roof. So I ended up making these like pillars basically, and I used the bamboo, and I made sure to turn off the climbing ability because of course little monkeys are going to be in here, and we definitely do not need them climbing out and onto the roof. So here we're just working really hard to do the terrain. It's really easy, but you know, just trying to be mindful of like where the dirt would be and things like that. And then I go back and I do the null barrier. It is kind of a weird little nook right there, and I'm not really sure how to repair that without like just absolutely destroying everything that I've created. So it's kind of one of those things I'm just trying to deal with. And when I say that, deal with it, I mean like, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and it bothers me when things are like that. But like, on the other hand, I don't really know what to do for it without just starting over. And I didn't want to start over because I really liked how it looked. Anyway, so here in the back wall, I did like a hot wire because I wanted the guest at the restaurant to be able to see into the enclosure, and also for the monkeys to see out into the world, you know, and see them. Luckily, these kind of monkeys are not shy. They do really well. So I do have this large indoor space that it's going to be decorated here shortly. And the thing that I'm trying to do a lot in this build is to do it where they have a big outdoor area or satisfactory outdoor area, but they also have a big private area. Now, unfortunately, that is inside. Unfortunately, I kind of didn't do the private area for them on this one. I'm not really sure what happened. I got so stuck on what I wanted to do, I didn't really think about it, and so I ended up going in and just like giving them pure glass for their indoor area. And that of course gives them no privacy, but luckily they're not like super shy, you know, and nervous creatures. And so it should work out okay, you know, and there is that one path that goes through. So, but mostly they're going to be looked at throughout the main enclosure. So here I'm trying desperately to use these bars. I very rarely use them, but I wanted to see them like do that like hanging thing where they like go hand over hand and swing and like hang from it. And here comes the guest. You can see them because we have our beautiful little monkeys here now. So here I'm just selecting that so that I can add in some darker green to it, and then I'm doing these bamboos pillars so that it looks a little more, you know, cohesive. I use that word way too much. But they also can climb up the bamboo and onto the railing. And so here I'm just making sure I'm using the heat maps to see if they can actually use it, and they can. And I didn't understand why that back loop said it was obstructed, but it did say that they could use it. So it was very confusing. Again, if you guys have any tips or tricks on like how to use that railing better, I'm definitely open for your help and opinions. So here we're just doing the enrichments. We're making sure we get enough toys and feeding, and yeah, I kind of got lazy. I used the blueprint for the climbing structure on the inside. I just was like, I was getting really tired. This took me a good deal of my day to do both. And I just kind of popped it in there. But you know what? There is no shame in using blueprints. There is amazing creations out there on the workshop and in the game itself. Like that structure is from the game itself. That just came with it. And, you know, there's no shame in that. It's just, I think it's a little less interesting when you don't see somebody actually build it. So anyway, we're just kind of looking around, and we are coming up at the end of the video now. We're gonna just go ahead and check out our little guy here, our little girl here, and make sure we're still doing really well. We got some foliage work to do, but we're almost done. This video is almost over. This enclosure is almost done. And I really enjoy you guys watching, and thank you for that. I know you got a lot of other choices out there on YouTube. There's a lot of other things you could be watching and doing, and you guys chose to come and hang with me, and I really appreciate that. So, you know, I gotta say it, if you can like, subscribe, and comment, that'd be fantastic. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. I actually had a really cool comment just today, here, what, 8/24/24, that said, hey, do you use mods? And I was like, well, I kind of do, but I really don't. So I don't use any like building mods. I use like aces so that I can see, like have more pretty animals, because they do the like the refur on them, and like their eyes look different and stuff, and they look really nice. And then I have some like decorations, but I actually don't really use them in these builds because I want you guys to see that you can do this too. And that's very important to me. And, you know, because I don't want you guys to think like, oh, I can't do this if I don't have a bunch of mods and whatnots. And like, you know, and that's really tricky. And like some computers and laptops and consoles, and I don't know about the consoles, I don't play on console. But, you know, they can't handle, like, a bunch of mods. And, like, it's not fair that you know, for people to feel like they can't do something because they don't have a mod. Anyway, rant over. We're just doing the greenery here. We're almost done. We're just very carefully placing these little green spots. And then we are nearly at the end of the video. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit here, and we're just gonna add in these green trees. I like to dip them down into the ground to make the like big bushes out of them. I just think it looks really good. And then of course some bamboo in here always looks good. And then it was a little too tall, so I had to keep fussing with it to make it work. It did take a couple tries, but we got it. Doing some greenery in here, some terrain work. Look at that, beautiful. I just love that. The roof is just, it's stunning in my opinion. And then just, yeah, we're just continuing through, making it cohesive. And yeah, look at that roof. And you know, this, we're spinning around and whoa, whoa, whoa. We're gonna slow it down. There we go. So we're just gonna follow our beautiful little monkey here. I again really appreciate you guys watching, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys again in the next one. I hope you were inspired. I certainly was, building this entire area, and you know, just looking at them now and just enjoying it. Look at them go. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day, night, or whatever time it is for you. Bye.